Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Nancy. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are the Lagos people? Because since we are talking fintechs, the concentration of fintechs are in Lagos. I guess we should
That's
start
true.
from there. Why a
That's
concentration of fintechs in Lagos and the West, but very,
mm.
very, very low in the North? Why exactly? Why is it like that? Let's start from that premise.
Well, I think that more of the educated people and more of the people with the finance are more in Lagos. And since Lagos being a commercial hub, many of those companies are erupting from here. So I would just align that to just the intelligence that exists in Lagos and the money that circulates in Lagos. I think down in the north, the adoption of such a technology based on intelligence is limited. So more people know things here in Lagos, and more of the international people are here in Lagos, and more of the money is circulating here in Lagos. That's why we see more fintech here. And I think the adoption rates, just based on the population that exists in Lagos, breeds or moves that sort of technology to thrive more in Lagos. I think I'll just leave it to that.
Do you
There's
think
just more intelligent people.
people more intelligent people in Lagos? So those of us in Abuja, we are not intelligent. So the rest of the
Well, if
country,
you if
or is it a
if you
function
met,
of education too? Because it's very
I
low in
think
the
if you
north and it's growing in the south, but fintech's adoption is highest in Lagos.
mm. Yeah, so I was going to say, based on the population of young people, you find more young people that have studied abroad or studied in more in Lagos than in Abuja, or down in the north. So I would say that the adoption would happen more here. And not only that, the population of people in Lagos, we have over 20 million people in Lagos in comparison to Abuja. So you would see more adoption happening in Lagos. Even across Africa, Lagos just has this very high level of people just using things before it even travels across anywhere in Nigeria. So Lagos would just always be the hub where things starts from. Yeah,
Someone once told me that Lagos's energy is different from here. When she came to Abuja, what's wrong with Abuja? There's no energy in this place.
I agree.
From
I was
Lagos,
in Abuja. I was
octane.
in
You
Abuja over
guys
the
are highly
weekend.
octane people.
Yeah, I was in Abuja over the weekend, and I was driving through Abuja, and I was like, "This is really quiet." You go to Lagos, and there's energy everywhere. So
Our
I
life
would agree.
expectancy here is higher than Lagos.
Let's call it a UK and American situation.
Exactly. So if we take a look at the evolution of fintechs or the emergence of fintechs over the years, do you think that is as a result of banks, the inadequacy in banks in serving the unbanked and serving a population, that is unbanked and not financially included? Do you think that that evolution we've seen is as a result of the inadequacies in banks, or that banks did not just want to evolve?
Well, some people say this is the evolution of this fintech technology, but I want to look at it from this perspective. I think the eruption of M-Pesa in Kenya in 2007. So we must look at technology. Technology is kind of taking over our lives over a period of time, over, let's say, 10 to 20 years now. So 2007, when the M-Pesa started with Vodafone and Safaricom, Kenya was able to move a lot of money. And then after that, Bitcoin came in 2009. And this just gave people this idea that the banks cannot do things, and look at this technology that has changed things. It was just, let's call it a social technology that records credit and debit. That's what fintech is. And so as this started, people just started to say, you know what, I can start my own company if Kenya can start M-Pesa out of nothing and allow people to receive and give money. And if Bitcoin has just come, which is not centralized by the government, a transactional platform based on blockchain, people just thought it's time to start starting up companies that's relative to that. And we must not forget that even in that same time, Apple just launched iPhone as well. So it just brought about a whole new change in the way that technology is used. So I would say the eruption or the adoption of this technology has just come due to not that people don't trust their banks. Well, that is right. People don't trust their banks. They're beginning to trust this system because they feel that it's more fairer. They get to see how much charges are being taken away from them. They get to see how their money is being used differently, and even just transact with themselves without going to the bank and saying, how can I transact with this person before? And the bank can tell them, oh, this is the way you do it. And so it's changed a lot of things. But I think that the adoption, in my own opinion, now I think that the adoption still has a long way to go, and the bank still has a long thing to do to change this, to make everybody move to this technology. If we're talking of the unbanked, that is one of the major things that pushed fintech, because if you look at Kenya, them erupting M-Pesa, some technology that does not require you to have a bank before you can receive money. This changed a lot of things. The diaspora people were able to send all their money to Kenya. And if you look at Kenya right now, there's a lot of innovations erupting from there. There's a lot of things that have to do with them changing their environment, changing the way they do things, and even aligning to the international community.
Samuel, but is our own fintech space like that? Bearing in mind that, I like that you brought the M-Pesa example with the collaboration with Safaricom. You know, years and years ago, it's made in financial inclusion in Kenya a bit better. Of course, we have our own financial inclusion strategy. The central bank had the target of this year, but it's not meeting it. So it's extended it now to, I think, 2024. But if you take a look at our own fintech space, do you think, especially those around payments and lending, do you think it's really for the non-financially included people? Because most of our fintech apps, especially those in the finance space, it's on smartphone penetration. Do we have a decent population that are on smartphones that can really understand how to navigate these things?
So I agree. Nigeria has a long way to go. And one of the things that I've discovered being in Nigeria is that Nigeria is always focused on the rich people. You know, we're always focused on, let me make product that will give me money. Many of the young people want to always build things that is like, I want to get money the next day, and so I can buy a new car. But we never focus on really what the whole population needs. What does everybody need? And so if we compare Nigeria to Kenya, you would see that Kenya launched this technology to involve their diaspora people that they've sent abroad for a long period of time, to send their money back home so that they can develop the country. And so it was a collective, collaborative thing. They brought their regulators, brought people together, and the collaboration was destructive. Let's put it that way. But Nigeria, we've just seen a whole lot of competition now. Like I said, young people like to develop new innovations or things that will just give them money, instead of looking at the broad or long-term view of how we can change the whole nation. Nigeria is literally placed in a place that can bring up a new technology that can change the whole of Africa. We are placed in that sort of trajectory to change the whole of Africa's way of, even the way we see money, the way we value ourselves, the way we impact our community, our environments, and even the organizations that exist around us. But we really do not, we don't focus on that point. So I think that Nigeria has a long way to go. The competitive nature of all the fintech does not allow a collaborative movement that can bring all those people that are unbanked, because those are the people we need to focus on, or even how they're working, how their money is being used to develop the economy. We need to bring up a new way of doing that. So I think in comparison to Kenya, Nigeria just has to change the way that we build this, let's say, ecosystem, instead of just erupting platforms everywhere. We have so many platforms, many of them. So, you know, someone like me now that is an innovator, if I'm developing a new product, I will be thinking, which of the payment platform would I use now that will be beneficial to all my people? But then we're not seeing a ecosystem of, okay, let's put everybody, those that are banked, those that are unbanked, let's put them all into the system, and let's see how that system develops the environment, or even our community, or even organizations in Africa. It's something that's really on my mind.
If you take a look at the investments from the fintech space, the Nigerian fintech ecosystem, when I read the McKinsey report, they did say that from 2014 to 2019, that the Nigerian fintech ecosystem has brought in about $600 million. It attracted, I think, about 460, that's another report now, about 460 million at a time, then $55 million in the Q1 of 2020. Is it 2021? I can't remember now. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that we're seeing investments into the Nigerian fintech space. What do you think are the drivers of these funding, especially also coming from foreign sources? Because you're seeing that countries like China or foreign affiliated fintechs, I don't want to call their names, but you know those that I'm talking about. You know, so what do you think is driving this growth, especially in investment?
I think around the world, fintech is becoming a very phenomenal thing. Many people are beginning to look at this technology and see how can we use it to create a fairer economy. Let's just use that word, even though banks don't want to hear that word fairer. But I think that many of these investors are seeing that in Nigeria. And due to the nature of, like I said, I want to use that word again, the intelligent people exist in Lagos, and they are coming up with all these technologies, investment will travel. So you have high investments in USA now in fintech, you have high investment in China in fintech. So it is majorly normal that investments will flow into fintech if it's erupting in places like Nigeria. Again, one of the other things to look at is that due to the movement of young people into a more efficient way of banking, you know, people want to run their business differently. Many of the young people are frustrated with how Nigerian banks help them run their business. I think that many of them are moving towards that financial technology, and that moves the investment into financial technology. For instance, as it's stated there on the screen, you know, 1.5% of retail banking revenue, it comes from retail. And so most of the things that Nigerian people do, apart from just our development of our country, is that we always just like to buy and sell. We just want to buy and sell things. Many of the things that happen in Nigeria is buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. So this has pushed a lot of investment to happen in Nigeria. And McKinsey is right. I read the article as well, and so as other research papers, but McKinsey is also just expressing a consultation of what they've done in Nigeria. And if you read other research, you see that it's just investment in fintech generally is just massive. But we really don't even know what the fintech will do for the economy. That's how I'm looking at it.
And globally, fintech contribution about $36 billion. So that's the share of the Nigerian space. You saw the news around Paystack last year with Stripe getting into Paystack with $200 million. And we've seen other companies like that, Flutterwave, a lot of these companies, though I said I'm not going to call names, but perhaps for emphasis sake, you know, so that people understand what we're saying, the OPAs that are backed by China and all of that. As we finalize this interview, what do you think are the fundamental enablers to the fintech space development that we've seen in Nigeria? Because I also remember that the Central Bank of Nigeria, for example, brought out the payment PSV, they call it payment services vision, payment service vision. So yes, in 2020 to promote this cashless economy. What will also is the role of regulators, because we saw also the backlash that came against the central bank, for example, and even other regulators around. NICOM is the regulator for insurance, pensions, so that we can also begin to see fintechs in that space, not just come and take money, like you say, trade and sell, about insurance, about pensions, about regulators such as even NCC and co. I hope you got all my questions, or where my brain wave
is going. You are aligning to the kind of thing that I'm thinking personally in the fintech space. What I think globally is, and before I come down to Nigeria, is that globally the fintech space has not even understood. They are still testing and still trying to learn the mindset of people of how they're using this technology. We are placed at a moment where we can do something about it. We can disrupt things about it. So you're right, in the space of insurance, in the space of health, in the space of education, we can literally use fintech to change the whole thing that we run in Nigeria. But one of the things that about Nigeria that I've discovered is that we literally take our consultation from the Western world. We never just sit down and erupt our own thinking of what do we think this can do for us. So I personally think that there is a role that must be created through collaboration. And collaboration is a short-term thing to change a system. So we can go into partnership in the future, but I think that the regulators, the government, the people like the National Communication System, the
Commission.
National Insurance, Commission, the National Insurance, the Security and Exchange, and even the Information System, the Information Ministry. And even statistics, I want to put that in there, statistics, because one of the biggest thing about fintech is data. And we do not take data very importantly in Nigeria. And again, data in Nigeria is only given to these sovereign people. So there are some people that have had history of data, but the government, the regulation of Nigerian data does not allow data to be used for things like financial technology. So if we can come together and regulate, change some of these regulations, especially with data, we can create a whole new ecosystem of how we can create fintech that aligns to insurance, that aligns to education, that aligns to healthcare. We can even build a whole system that covers the whole economy, because the whole point of fintech is to actually power the digital economy that we're looking into.
Yeah.
But what does the digital economy look like? And that's the part that we must look at, that how do we create these technologies that can now create a one whole new economy. And another thing is
that will solve the problems that we have.
That's right. Yes, that's right. And one thing I want to say to the banks need to start seeing themselves as not central anymore. They should start looking at themselves as facilitators or support system to enable this fintech come together and enable other innovators and ideas to come together and create that all-round new economy that we can call it.
Yes. Thank you, Samuel. I think we'll leave it at that for now. There are so many things to talk about when it comes to fintechs, but I think I'll do the show again, and we'll look at it sometime soon. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me on the show. Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, you too. Okay, I've been speaking with Samuel Obeghe, who is a digital economist and an innovator. At this time, let's quickly bring in other segments. The Central Bank of Nigeria, I did tell you earlier, is on a sensitization drive across the country. They were in Enugu, and we brought